大家好，上一集美国朋友 Chris 介绍了他家谷仓的总体情况，这一集请他继续介绍一些细节和工具的使用。不懂英语的朋友请看 CC 字幕。
Your livestock a place to come under if they want to get out of weather. That was the idea of it. You can
in the middle you actually have parking spot.
I'm going to have an elevator here in the middle. There'll be a platform that's hooked to a gantry, and it'll be we use it with an electric winch that I can lift up and then bring things up to the second level and move them either way.
Wow, that's smart. Otherwise, your tool cannot go to the second floor.
Correct. Yeah, it would be harder to do that. So.
Yeah. So, another question for you is, how long you think this bar can survive?
Oh, it'll outlive me, for sure.
Another 100 years type of thing?
If it's taken care of, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
The thing is just I've got to get it covered, and that's why I've not been playing any golf, because there's a lot of pressure to get this in the dry, because there's obviously a lot of work here. I don't want it, to ruin. So I have to get that. And you're so limited by weather. When it's hot, you just can't. It's too labor intensive.
Now is the best time.
It is.
To do the work.
Yeah, you just don't have as much daylight. So. Would you like me to go through the tools?
Okay.
Okay. We were talking earlier about hand hewing, that is squaring the beams, and the way you would do that is, let's see, you would take a round log like this piece of pine. Let me see, I've got some stuff here somewhere. And the hewer would come to the end of the log, and he would figure out how big his square piece was going to be. So, for example, if we're wanting 6 inches, all right, the other thing he'd need to do is he'd need to have a level so that you can keep it consistent from end to end. So you would come out here like this with your level and find the 6 where you can get the most of 6 inches here, from here to here. Okay, and then I'm
6 by 6.
right, and then I'm getting my bubble in the middle. That's level. So then I draw my line.
Wow.
Like so. All right. For now, I can come, now that I've got my line, I can come right down. I can come down this way 6 inches also. Can line it up with that. And I come down here and say, okay, here's 6 inches here. So come down to there. And then so on. You can use your level again if you want to, by putting it like this. Make the line across, and then you just kind of connect the dots. So 6 inches up here was where? Right there. Okay, so then I just come down here. And then I know I can see, and you start at the small end, because otherwise you'll run out of material if you start from the big end. So there you can see what I expect to get out of the log. So what I do now is I can go down to the other end and do the same thing, and then I take a chalk box. Do you know what chalk box is? Chalk line?
No.
I'll have to show you that. It's pretty cool. And then you make a line down the log so that you know what you're cutting. Of course, you have to get the bark off.
Okay.
Yeah. First, take a bar out. So you mean you put a line from this end to another end?
Right.
Yeah.
And we use chalk boxes today.
Chalk box is have ink.
Has chalk. It's
Chalk.
actually chalk. It's
Chalk.
dust. I'll show you one here in a minute. But in the old days, they didn't have those, so they had a wooden box with something on the end of a string. They kept the string in it, and it was full of charcoal.
Right.
And so the charcoal worked just like chalk, and that's how they pop the line. So once you do that, then you know what you've got to take off this much material on each side.
Right.
And the way you do that is with this felling axe. this is the predecessor of what most people have today, which is called a poled axe. A poled axe has the flat side on one side, whereas you see this one has
Two sides.
has two blades on it. Let me see if I'm good. Well, I'm not gonna swing it. So, and it's very sharp. You can just about shave with it, and it's important. I only use this axe for this purpose. I've got a utility axe for anything else because I don't want to damage it because it's extremely valuable for this.
Okay.
So what you would do is you would come down the log, and you're going to be. I would be standing up on the log, and I'm making chops
Wow.
like this, all the way down, like that.
So remove the.
You're making, yeah. So you're making. I would be making a match. Let me show you. I can make one on the top here easier because I can get to it. You go.
Wow.
Chop.
You see, I'm incrementally.
Yeah, have a little bit angle, but not too much.
Right.
Otherwise, too deep.
So now, once you do that all the way down, and then you come back with the broad axe.
Oh,
Oh. Wow.
And the broad axe, this is its specific use. If you'll notice, it has what they call a gooseneck or a crooked handle. And the reason is because what you would do is you would stand, you're usually standing over it like this, and you're just chopping straight down, you're knocking these pieces off, and that's so you don't hit your knuckles. So you have to have it bent a little bit. But I can do that with it. In fact, I prefer to do it this way. So here you come back like this. See how much material I'm taking off?
wow.
Wow.
Pretty efficient.
Very efficient.
Wow.
And of course, the key to any tool being efficient is it needs to be sharp. So there you kind of get the idea of it.
Yeah, so that is all the way.
That's the old way
Okay.
of squaring the log. So that's what the felling axe. Now, if you were using what you were hewing for, it had to have a smoother finish. You have what's called an adze.
Wow.
And the way this works is you stand on the log.
Yeah, I'm familiar with this one, but usually is for garden.
That's the hoe, Dr. Wong.
Okay, different
Different
name,
tool.
different tool.
So you do this, and it will give you a smoother finish. But it's aesthetic primarily.
Okay.
These two are used for getting material off quickly. This is what's called a bark spud, S-P-U-D, just like a nickname for a potato, spud. And it's used for removing bark, as you might imagine. So you get it like this, you run it underneath, and you see how it peels off the bark.
Remove the bark.
So it makes it really easy to get that bark off, because you need it off. Bark's not your friend.
Bark protect a tree.
This is a pine. The bark's pretty loose anyway, making it easy on me. You get a piece of green oak a lot of
So
times.
is there this log before you cut down they already die, or this starting from green? You store for long period of time like this?
No, it's just been on. It wasn't dead. It's just been. I've had it around a while.
Okay.
I just haven't used it. I've kept it up off the ground. That's the main thing.
Yep.
But so that's a bark spud. That's what it's used for.
Remove the bark.
Now this is a pretty interesting piece of equipment. I don't know if you've ever seen one of these or not.
Nope.
Probably not.
No.
Nope,
Never
that's
see.
first time.
Looks like somebody put a lawnmower blade on the end of a stick.
Yeah.
But if you'll notice there, it's extremely sharp on this end.
Oh wow.
And this is called a froe, F-R-O-E. And this has one specific purpose, and that is to make roofing shingles, or shakes, S-H-A-K-E-S is what they call them. And that's what you see on top of the tool shed.
Yeah.
So what you do is you take,
Top of the shingle.
yeah, it's a type of shingle, a roofing. They call them shakes, or I forget, there's maybe another term, but you would take a bolt, which is a big round piece of wood that you cut out of a tree. So but you would only use oak and highly, primarily preferably white oak because it's highly rot resistant. And you would cut out a section about 2 feet, and then you bust that into quarters. So you got pie shapes. So once you do that, you go to the edge.
Use the hammer.
You go into the edge about 1 inch, and you drive this down into it, and you pry it, and it'll pop that bolt right off. And you need straight grain lumber. You don't want knots, because you won't be able to do that. So you need good straight grain lumber, and that's what there's. I don't know how many. I think there's about 750 shakes on that shed, but the log workshop I had at our old house, it had 2,500 on it.
Oh.
And this one, I'm putting a metal roof on it.
So, what's that small building for?
That is a tool shed. So that's where I keep all this stuff in there.
In that small house.
And you notice how steep it is?
Right.
It's 45-degree angle. And that's so that the water skips down it. It doesn't have time to settle and go up under. It's designed to get it off quickly. Plus, it's more beneficial that way because you got more height.
Yeah.
And that's the reason for the low saw that they would have used, in the 1800s to cut mainly. They had to cut firewood with it. But the reason I brought this out is so that you can see how aggressive the teeth are.
You're right.
Well, the saws that they used back then to fell trees were like they were like this, but much bigger, and they call it what they usually call a 2-man crosscut. So it probably would be about 7 feet long, and you'd have a handle on each end for 2 men, and they would work it back and forth like this to saw the tree down. And but this one is for cutting just small pieces for firewood and whatnot. It's an antique. I don't use it obviously. You may have seen these before somewhere.
Yeah, this I know is for working with the log.
Right.
To make a turn.
Right. There's 2 different kinds here. This one is called a peavey, and it has the spike end on it.
Yep.
And this one is called the cant hook, and you can see where it has the ridge of teeth. And basically, they're both used for the same purpose, and that is to roll a log. You have to have one of these because
by hand you can't.
You can't unless you've got a tractor or something. You do it hook it like that, and you turn it. You see it rolling the log.
Make a turn. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's how it works. Well, the other works the same, but I like the peavey better because it's more universal, because you can get it up under things and use it as leverage to lift. I use this for all kinds of things, not just for moving logs. And it's got the long handle on it, the 4-foot handle, so it's got a lot more leverage.
I saw this tool in the sawmill plywood manufacturer because they're dealing with the log, so they have to have this.
You got to have that. The other thing that I've got here is a
big hammer.
Yeah, it's called a sledgehammer. You have to have one of these, and this is a wedge. Back in the old days, when they used this type of equipment, they had what was called a glut, G-L-U-T, which was made of wood. It would have been hardwood like that black locust or oak that would stand up, and they would have used a wooden mallet, not a metal mallet. But these are critical too for splitting, and it's just designed to split wood. And you have several of these, and you start on one end, and you drive it in, you see it's wedge shaped.
Yep.
And it splits it all the way down. And that's how, if you see the Virginia rail fence I've got around the house, that's how all that came.
Oh, so that's how they are going into the green. So shape is follow the tree.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. You're at Mother Nature's mercy when you're doing.
Yeah, I never know how they made.
You can manipulate it a little bit, and sometimes you want to, because if you're not careful, it'll split off too thin on one end or something. So I just kind of work it down.
Right.
And then you may have to take an axe and cut in between to keep it. It's labor intensive.
这一集看到 Chris 用的工具大部分是传统工具，建造这个谷仓挺辛苦的。谢谢大家收看，欢迎订阅、点赞、转发，再见。